bottoms will teach us lessons much, much better than mountain tops will ever do. Well, welcome to episode 149. This is again Miss Malu Cervantes, your coach, your mentor in this channel, My Season of Life, 60 years and beyond, where we navigate, this beautiful autumn of our life, and we'll continue with reminiscing what had been, what is, and what will be, per your request that I share some of my journeys so that you get to know me more. You want this channel to be more personal, more intimate, and not just being given tools and strategies and techniques, to live a beautiful life. You want to know the real Miss Malu. Okay? And I have started with episode 148, last episode, and we shall continue. Okay, that statement I started, that says rock bottoms will teach you lessons much more than mountain tops will ever do. I read that somewhere, and this is a fitting segue to my last episode. Last episode, I shared with you some of the great trials I have been through and what made me stay afloat and still rise up, right? That is a sequel because a few 1 or 2 years after those two illnesses that my husband and I have undergone, this time, this time, after 2 years, my career, took a big hit. The career that I am so proud of, the career that gave me meaning, the career that I'm passionate about, that took a hit. Okay, for the next 5 years, it is as if this is how I describe it to friends. Said, what happened? I still worked at that time. I still worked as hard. I still served my clients, excellently. But then all of a sudden, it's just like the faucet, just closed so tight. I wasn't receiving contracts. I wasn't receiving requests for doing training programs, which is really my livelihood. Not just my livelihood, it's my passion. It's my purpose. That's what I do very well. And if I don't get any requests, any contracts to do and run training programs, what do you think? What am I supposed to do? That's my work. That's my life work. Okay, and if this continued, for the next 5 years, what happens? There's no income. Our savings were dwindling. My husband just came out of the hospital. Remember, I told you he was there for a month. So my faith leapfrogged when we got our second lease on life. This time it's getting tested all over again. But then I realized one thing. The thing that actually resulted from this trial is I learned humility, real, genuine humility, like no other way. Because there's nothing I can be proud of. The much wanted career, the much wanted, expertise I couldn't use. For some reason, okay, clients, projects dried up. I worked as hard. I I gave proposals left and right, but nothing came out. You know, so I was really humbled that truly, truly, there must be something much more, okay, than just being proud of this. Okay, what I learned: humility, compassion, and grace. What do I mean by that? When people fail before or when people are down, I would always say, well, they haven't tried enough. You know, maybe they're lazy. Maybe they're not trying hard enough. Maybe they lack ambition. Maybe. Okay? And this particular trial trial and particular condition that God allowed me to go through somehow address that. I tried very hard, and yet, I wasn't lazy, and yet, okay. So now I realize that's the reason I had to undergo this rock bottom, because when I was up there, when I was at the top of my career, I was a toast of the business world. I had projects coming out of my ears. I had to even say, I can no longer handle that. Maybe you can wait, things like that. Now, it was just dry. I've learned that. Okay. Now, after 5 years, what God took, He returned it to me. And then the blessings just continue. So now I turn this mess into a message. The wounds, that pained me, I turn it into wisdom. The pain, okay, I turn it into purpose. And of course, the trials, I turn it into triumph. I am not embarrassed to admit that once upon a time, all right, after being at the top of the heap, so to speak, that I actually just hit rock bottom, because the lessons learned are than more than valuable. It actually saved, you know, my life. It saved my my being, in the sense that I was growing arrogant. I was growing proud. I was growing to think that the world revolved around me. Now I realize, no. Okay. um, there's a time. Okay, there's a time to realize that things happen. Things you don't want to happen, they happen, but it can make us stronger instead of making us weaker. Right? So, the third one that I would like to share with you is this. Okay, I read it somewhere. Okay, and I remember writing it. It says, words we consistently tell ourselves become, well, no, okay, words we consistently tell ourselves become who we are. I said, what? I had to read it. Words we consistently tell ourselves eventually become who we are. Which means, if we keep on saying, oh, I am a no good person, oh, I'm always failing here. Maybe I'm a failure, or maybe, yeah, I'm old, I am now ugly, I am now, etc., etc. All right, that's who we will be, if we don't stop. And of course, the good news is also the other side. If we say, yeah, right, I'm not getting any younger, but I am definitely getting better. Okay, I'm not growing old. I'm aging elegantly, wisely, and gracefully. And I am able to do this. I am a smart person. I can achieve these things if I try hard enough. If that's what we tell ourselves, that's who we will become, right? And again, this is neuroscience. This is neuroscience. It's backed by neuroscience. Neuroscience says that, the messages, okay, words, the messages we tell ourselves actually rewire our brains, okay, to match, okay, our belief and trigger the actions. Otherwise, it is called cognitive resonance. It's called cognitive resonance, meaning what we do is aligned with our belief, and it's also aligned to the words we tell ourselves. Okay, of course, the what's this? The opposite of cognitive resonance is cognitive dissonance, and that is what. Okay, this is what we believe, and we try to do. The opposite. No, it cancels each other, so you're not going to have the results you want. Okay, so I am reminded. I am reminded. Of the time when I'm not sure, okay, 2 or 3 years old, maybe 3 years old, because according to psychologists, our earliest memory is around 3 years old. Some a little younger, but the majority is 3 years, maybe 3 years old. I remember, okay, my dad was a muscle man. You know what? A muscle man. He would always lift weights. So he would have very strong chest and his arms are rock solid. In fact, when I was in the hospital, I couldn't go up and down our house. Then he would put me in one arm. Okay, I would sit here, and he would carry me like that going up the stairs. That's how strong he was. So when I was 3 years old, he would put me in his big palm, big palm with muscles there. My God, two little feet there. Okay, he would raise me up like that. Okay, and he would tell me to spread my arms, you know, a la Titanic, like Rose in Titanic, and when she was there with. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, Dawson, Dawson. Okay, like that. Okay, can you imagine little me, perched on top of his palms, up there with arms spread like that, and he would say, you will fly, you will reach the sky." He would tell me that. All right, and I couldn't, so I would repeat, "We'll fly, reach sky." Okay, "We'll fly, reach sky." All right, I remember that. I really remember that. Okay, fast forward. When I would have problems, when I would have difficulties, and I would say, "Oh, this is difficult. I don't want to do this. I cannot achieve this." Blah 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 blah. And I would have classmates, who would have what? Who have the things that we didn't have because we come from a very modest middle class families, and my classmates come from very rich families, and so they have everything, and I would just take a look, and I would say, "Why not me?" and etc. etc. I would remember that. Said, "I can fly, I can reach the sky. Nothing is tough enough, nothing is impossible." If I didn't have that now, I told myself then, if I don't have that now, I'll get that through effort, sheer effort. And I did try that. Okay. So I would focus on studying very well. I wanted to get good grades. I wanted to graduate with honors. And then while my classmates, okay, were enjoying their summer vacations, like they say, "Oh, Malu, okay, where will you be this vacation?" I said, "I'll be home because I have a summer job." And I was high school. High school, remember, high school, I had a summer job. College, all through high school, all through college, I had summer jobs. While they were, "Oh, this year we will go to Hong Kong. This year we will go to the US." Well, travel then was a travel now, which is affordable, by anybody who saves, because at that time, world travel is just for the rich. Okay. And so then they look at me and say, "My gosh, why are you doing work? Why are you doing a job? Why can't you?" These kinds of things. And I would always tell myself, "I can fly. I will reach the sky." And that was the trigger. Okay, that was the trigger. And the key word that I remember now is transcend. Every problem, contains the seeds of its own solution. That's my mantra. Okay, we must only look at every angle that we have maybe missed. Okay, we have to reframe the difficulty into something very positive. We should ask questions like, what if, what if, what if? Okay, because the what ifs will give us, potential, opportunities. It will not limit. Okay, it will not limit us, if we're just looking at one side. Okay, so the little me, I fly, I reach sky. I fly, I can reach the sky. Up to now, it's still there. Okay? So be very careful, guys. My friends, with the words you consistently tell yourself, because that is the kind of person you will become. Better start saying, you can fly, you can reach the sky. Courtesy of Miss Malu Cervantes. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm still sharing with you very, very intimate, parts of myself as you have requested. Okay, what I've been through. At the same time, hopefully, you would learn a lesson. So if this resonates with you, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Miss Malu Cervantes. In the season of life, 60 years and beyond. So together, we are aging up wisely, aging gracefully, aging elegantly. So until the next time, sayonara.